I came to CPID and Alex in September. I'm starting to feel very frustrated. This $20 million is coming in. The money is not going to our community largely. How do we steer this money to the community, not just to provide affordable housing, but to actually start to create all the other things we need? Economic opportunity, community centers, places we can congregate, all the beautiful things that were said, you know, through public interest design. How excited was I to learn that there's a thing and a way to do this thing. So with Alex and the team, we started this process. I've been told it will cost too much, it will take too long. I say, thank you so much. I seeded this myself. And so with Jamie talking about $20,000 not being significant, I took my consulting dollars and I invested this. It is about that much money. To me, if I could get a grant to do this for Black people, I would be very happy. At this point, it is self-funded. And I will keep doing it because I think it's possible. So we used the Eco Districts protocol, gave 7 options, really went through, and I'm just gonna rush through this because we'll talk about it more in a moment. The goal for me is to bring the most innovative design standards and possibilities to the community, right? If we can build these amazing things in the Pearl, redevelop the Lloyd District, and we know Black community is suffering from disproportionate health impacts, poverty, all of these things, why can we not build these very high standard buildings for the lowest income, most in need people? So I started having some fascinating conversations. This is one of the drawings that came out of the charrette process we did in December. And the architects were so wonderful in really wanting to understand not only the needs of the community, but how we can look at history and the historical things we've lost as assets. And how do we build from that and start to reconnect people with their sense of place, self, and also not overdevelop the area, but do it in a way that makes sense for the people. So I just broke down quickly the ways I've approached the work, and then we'll get more into the beautiful drawings and innovations. Asset-based community development for me is the way this needs to go. I engaged architects. It was not the other way around. I have no money, I have no land. You know, I have nothing other than community members telling me what they want and knowing no one is coming and really hearing us and wanting to do things that would actually be beneficial. So community-based participatory research for me is still a top-down approach, as are many of these processes. So what does it look like when I lead, when we actually come and say, hello, are you interested in sitting around the table to have these really awkward and complicated conversations, and can we find middle ground on the front end and then welcome you into the community? We have got to share power. This has to be up for buy-in with the community. The community must control it. We've got too many generations of trauma. Epigenetically, we know that the impacts stay with us for a very long time, so we must do something. We have to share the leadership, the decision-making, solution-making, and we have to have people who live the experience, not just people who look like people who have lived the experience, but the people who are living the experience, be there. Be the ones to whom we are accountable. It has to be authentic representation. We cannot conflate race and class. We have got to understand there's a class component to gentrification, and that a lot of people think trickle down everything. Development economics is going to work, and what we know is it is driving people out and pushing them deeper into poverty. We do have an equity imperative. We have got to use resources to serve the needs of the most disenfranchised. We must do this. To me, there are also legal reasons we should do this, right? But most importantly, people deserve to be healthy. People deserve to have opportunity. They deserve to become everything they want to be in the world, and they deserve to be directive about that. For me, I'm a high school dropout. I didn't go to university until I was 30. I was already living up here. First year I was here, I earned $3,000. The next year I earned $5,000. This was in 2003, 2004. Went to Portland State, told I could never learn. Ended up graduating magna cum laude, going to London School of Economics to do a master's in race, ethnicity, post-colonial studies. It's why I do this. I feel like I've had an opportunity to to kind of pierce the veil and learn how to bend these systems toward the people, hopefully. Let me see quickly. We have to think of communities as being rich with assets, not to mine and exploit, but to build upon. The people have resources. It's the pathologization, the stigmatizing, the stereotyping, and the paternalistic approach we've used that keep people from being agents of change. We need a strength-based approach, and we have got to keep the control within the community. So my recipe, quickly, you've got to look at what's happened, right? We have the North-Northeast Housing Strategy, we have the Anti-Displacement Comprehensive Plan Amendments, we have the strengthening of disparate impact, the affirmatively furthering fair housing. We know there's a housing crisis, and we have this right to return preference policy that will be coming out. That makes me think the time is right now to start doing something. This has to be about the people who live in a place. When we say placemaking, it's not just beautiful from an aerial view. It has to be meaningful and useful to the people who are there. Asset-based community development. If you get a random person coming who doesn't know how to speak urban planning language or architecture language, but is very passionate, respond to that. And thank you to these gentlemen for doing just that. My goal is to do a tripartite overlay for African Americans, recognizing we need a maker district. We are makers of things. We need to benefit from our own social and cultural capital. So often it is separated from the people and it's exploited and sold, but it doesn't benefit to us. We don't accrue the capital and the value from that. We must control this ourselves. It has to help our health impacts. We are dying younger, we're suffering. And these are caused by the environments within which we live. We're not genetically or biologically inferior. And we need to be innovative. We need to do it with the people, but we also need to hear that the people have innovative solutions. So I think it's also incumbent upon people who have planning backgrounds to listen in a way that you can translate what we want into what we then say, yes, this looks like what I was hoping for. So with that, I will ask if there are any questions. I know I probably went a little bit over, but questions, clarification, comments?
What is that?
The comprehensive plan. Yes, so we're still using a comprehensive plan from the 1980s at this point. It is very, very, very overdue. So there were 11 proposals that have now turned into 28 policies, and they passed the Sustainability Commission. Now they are at the City Council, so the hope is they will not be diluted. My hope is we've strengthened them. So there's community benefits agreement, impact assessment before development, thinking about how we capture windfall profits for community development, land banking. The goal we're really trying to achieve at this point is having a city-community partnership. We got $3 million of the $20 million set aside for land banking. However, the city has not been able to expend it because the market is what it is. They're trying to use public money for public land. We've asked them to procure private land with public dollars, if at all possible, to bring more land into the public good. So those are a few of those provisions, but I think you can probably find it online. Yes?
First of all, you're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you're a millennial. The millennials are coming.
I'm way older than a
You're
millennial.
You're brilliant. When you say community benefits and a planning process defined by the community, how do you, who's the community and how do you know that you have that representation?
Right. So I work at the largest African American nonprofit in the state of Oregon. It's called Self-Enhancement Incorporated. We're recently in the news because we just got 81% graduation rate for at-risk and Black youth. our state is worse than the nation for graduation rates. We have a 53% graduation rate for African Americans. So this was after taking over one of the schools at Portland Public School, helping them. We have a whole school model. So we have about 125 full-time employees, 90 of us are Black. And so we have parents driving in every day. We have a middle school academy in the building. We have about 150 students in there. So I'm in it. I'm in the community. It was a very intentional choice for me. And so when I put out the flyers, it said preference of participation for displaced persons. I live in subsidized housing since losing my house through an African-American-led housing provider, PCRI. And I'm currently the strategic manager for this African-American Financial Capabilities Initiative, bringing SEI, the Urban League, PCRI, and the African American Leadership Forum together to start building assets and wealth for the community. So for me, I just need to do it in the community, with the community. We did have folks from a different class strata at the meeting who did look like us, but really the data was all collected from people who have been largely displaced. Anyone else? Yes.
How many people have been displaced?
That's a great question. So what the Multnomah County report said is that every year 1,000 people will be displaced from each census tract. So they selected the 10 highest African American census tract. They base it on census. We know in 2010 they say a conservative estimate was 8,000. I would definitely, and we're serving people who've been displaced. Homelessness is up 50% for Black people as of this year. We say it's about 20,000. And there are only 40,000 Black people in Portland. There are only 50,000 Black people in the state of Oregon. Wow. So it's a significant number. The people who are staying are generally homeowners. Many of them are the older residents who were able to purchase homes before. Most of our families and the children of those homeowners are who have been displaced.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the Omaha community has similar issues. We've managed over the years to silo our two basically non-white populations. And they're really in rough shape. We're starting to figure on the top of national lists and things like that. And one of the tools that I've used lately to argue for people who don't understand what we're talking about is that, for example, in 2012, Omaha lost $3.9 billion because we were not including those populations in our economy.
Right. That's kind of the smart, or the business case
Yeah.
for equity, right? PolicyLink.
Yeah.
Equity is a superior growth model. They came up here and they told us we're missing $11 billion annually because of the exclusion of Black people from the economy. Our economy is $220 billion. I said, I hate the business case for me. I mean, theoretically it's compelling, haven't seen it do a thing yet, but what I want to do is capture those dollars for the Black community. I don't care if it never benefits the dominant culture, because we've been so starved for so long. So that's why I'm starting to look at entrepreneurship, starting up, scaling up businesses, getting people access to a national and international market so we're not just selling here in Portland. I think there are a lot of opportunities, and yes, that's why, where is that valuation coming from? There are assets in Black people that we are not utilizing.
Well, and so to a banker or an investor or to a developer, that may be the only language they understand.
That and the cost of poverty. And I think somebody said, which was wonderful, I mean, you are saving government's money if you have people who are thriving. It's logic. So I want to leave you all time because Alex is going to go over some things, and then we've got the right to root document for you all to do some workshopping around. So thank you again very much.
Thank you so much. That was so powerful. Everyone agrees. Thank you. Really, not only does it sort of put some, real meat into what I think we're talking, but it's also right here. It's just wonderful to hear it in your words.